Right, this is a quick one just to combine the two techniques that we just looked at. Those of you going a little bit further, it's all about developing your ideas into something new and original. That said, this quite frightening concept that I've put together here is actually inspired by, yes, I'm a major geek here, an original Star Trek episode. And here's a still from it. So it freaked me out, this, when I was very, very young. And it had this giant hand that was overlaid on top of the model of the Enterprise there. It just sort of came out of nowhere and grabbed the ship. Obviously the effects are not great, and just by using Photoshop now we can do something that looks a little bit more crisp, perhaps even too crisp maybe, and I'll let you be the judge of that, because this hand, if it's meant to be a giant hand coming out from the sky, maybe it should be a little bit out of focus. But we'll worry about that in a minute. Let's show you what I did here. Let's just hide that layer. So here we go. Here's my lovely landscape photograph with the flared sun and everything. And here is my solarized hand, which I did earlier. I've got rid of the black vignette border that I put on because I just want to have a nice white or slightly greyish outline here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this, if it'll let me. There we go. Oops, not that one. There we go. Oh. So this is where I should probably stop the video and start it again, but no, because I want to... Oh, Carl, where have you gone now? There you are. Persevere. There we go. All right. So you try again, and then it'll end up doing what you want it to. Sometimes Photoshop gets a little bit overworked. There we go. All right. So firstly, I want to decide where my hand is going to be drawing the horizon. And I'm just going to, because I've got the show transform controls active, so I've got my handlebars here. So if I was going to rotate it around, there we go. Get it into position, so roughly there maybe. Before I do that though, there's something I've forgotten to do, and that's I just want to rub out the outside, because there's lots of bits and pieces there that I don't need. So trusty rubber tool, remember soft rubber, and I'm just going to try and do it so I'm not cutting out my hand, but I'm getting rid of all of this grey. I could do this, you know, lots of different ways. I might have shown you before how to do like a colour range selection, or you might want to use a magnetic lasso or whatever, but I think it's nice to do it by hand, and for this particular effect I want to leave a little bit of a glow around the edge, a little bit of an aura. Now some of you might be thinking, wouldn't that shadow look cool? So I might get that back later. All right, but for now, let's just deal with this guy. There you go. So I've isolated my hand, got a little bit of a glowing outline. Because remember, it's a solarized picture. This. Rotate it. There we go. I'm going to have my hand drawing the horizon. There we go. It's not quite in exactly the same space as I had it before, but that looks reasonable. You can also resize it as well if you wanted. Have a little bit more over here, I think. There we go. That's better. Think about your rule of thirds, because you're creating a new image. You're creating a montage here. So think about where you're placing your things. So that's probably could be a little bit more further. There we go. There we go. So that fits in better with the idea of the rule of thirds. So you've got the sun over here on one third, you've got the pen on the other third line, so it balances out. There we go. Alright, so I've got my hand in the right position. A simple case of messing around with the blending options. So which one applies? Well, let's go for straightforward overlay. That does quite a nice job, it blends it in. So I've got the colour of the background photograph showing through. I could also go for multiply, which will make it stand out a bit more, but No, that just makes it look dirty, doesn't it? Screen, which just does the white. Now, it'd be quite cool if you want to do some ghosts, or perhaps some giant ghosts walking in the background. But for this one, what works best, I think, is overlay. Now, I said at the beginning, it doesn't quite work because it's too crisp. Because it's in the distance, let's have a go at blurring it. So filter, blur. Let's do a Gaussian blur. Oh, that's too much. There we go. Just a little blur. There we go. It sits a little bit nicer in the picture now. It does look like it's genuinely sort of there-ish. All right, so it's a little bit more realistic. Okay, so that's that. So have a think about the kind of montages you could create. Okay, and then think about making them a little bit more complicated. As I said, I've got this shadow here. While I've got your attention, if I still have it, let's have a go at just grabbing the shadow itself. So I've just used the rough lasso tool there. I'm going to do a copy, so edit copy. Where's my montage? There we go. Edit paste. Now the shadow, the reason I've separated it is because I want to make it look like the sun is casting the shadow from the hand. So I need to change where that shadow is coming from. Let's make that an overlay as well. Rubber tool. Because this is on its own layer, what I can do now is distort this shadow. So it's edit, transform, and let's go for distort. Let's just pull it all different directions and see what we get. So I can drag the corners. So I want it to be really small up into the distance, and then down here a lot bigger. Okay, that's a bit better, isn't it? Move it down. Double click to confirm. Now you notice that the shadow here doesn't actually match the hand now because I rotated the hand round. I need to do the same with the shadow. So edit, transform. I could flip it. And that might be better. So let's undo that. There we go. Edit, transform. Let's flip it horizontally. And you see the shadow is now pointing in the wrong direction. So I'm going to do something quite freaky. Pick the corner up and flip it over. And flip it down. Ooh. Oh dear. Mr. Tamer, you've got very confused here, haven't you? Tell you what, let's go back to this state and let's flip it before I transform it. So when in doubt, always go back in time and correct what you've done. Flip horizontally. Now I can rotate it around. There we go. So the shadow is now pointing in a much better position. That's better, isn't it? When in doubt, go with what looks right, rather than just trying to work it out each time with logic. Go with what oops, wrong one. Go with what looks right on the screen. Distort, that's the one I wanted. So stretch. There we go. Ah, now that looks a lot better, doesn't it? So try and keep it so that you don't have any of the dark bits sticking up over the edge. I want to get rid of the light aura there. There we go. And the shadow bit ends there. I know you can't really see that, but I know it's there, and my eagle eyes are telling me I need to just get rid of that, because shadows kind of fade out at the edges. So just get rid of that. Right, that little fiddly bit with the shadow probably took more time than it did to do the main bit, which is the hand, and the shadow bit is really subtle. Now, if you're aiming for sort of those higher marks, doing those tiny little touches that take a little bit more time than they might seem to have the benefit, that's what helps make it more highly developed. Okay, so layer, flatten image. There we go. So that's now an overlay with some solarized images. So you've got basically two photographs on top of each other, but they're all kind of mashed up and other effects going on as well. Thank you very much.